Welcome to Sabs podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. So Joe Biden is backing off of his campaign promises. Who would have thought? I told you guys, I said this even back then when he said we needed a $15 minimum wage, that he wasn't going to push for it. I told you that when he said we need healthcare for everybody, that he wasn't going to push for it. I told people that when he said we needed to cancel student debt, he wasn't going to push for it. And speaking of student debt, this is what has come out recently. So this is in reference to the White House budget. When he was campaigning for president, President Joe Biden said he would support $10,000 in student debt cancellation per person. It looks like he's not planning on following through on that promise anytime soon. Let's scroll down. The Washington Post reported on Friday that in Biden's upcoming budget proposal, many of the healthcare promises he made during his campaign, like cutting prescription drug costs, won't be included, per for people familiar with the matter. Another major promise, canceling $10,000 in student debt, also did not make the cut. Let's scroll down. Insider reported on April 7th that Biden has yet to follow through on two student debt promises from his campaign: to cancel $10,000 in student debt per person and to cancel student debt for undergraduates at public colleges and historically Black colleges. Let me pop out for a second. I honestly did not believe that he was going to follow through with this from the beginning. Didn't believe it. But there were a lot of people who did. And there were a lot of people who were counting on this. He said what he needed to say to get you to vote for him. The second portion about him canceling student loan debt for people who went to public universities, like he did, he went to a public college, and for people who went to HBCUs, is very significant. These kids have a lot of student loan debt. And he ran out here telling them that, yep, we're going to cancel this for you. You're not going to have to worry about it. And you're going to have a chance at having a good future. Let's go back to the article. In a speech on November 16th, Biden said that student loans are holding borrowers up, and forgiving $10,000 in student debt should be done immediately. Immediately. Let's scroll down. This is important. Canceling $50,000 in federal student loan debt will help close the racial wealth gap, benefit the 40% of borrowers who do not have a college degree, and will help stimulate the economy. Warren and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said in a February statement, "It's time to act. We will keep fighting." Let me pop back out. Now, what's important from that article is to note that this actually would help the racial wealth gap, which nobody has done. No one who has come into office has done this. So to tell students who went to HBCUs that you're going to cancel their student loan debt and to not implement it into the White House budget, Biden is continuing the racial wealth gap in this country. See, this is why it's important to listen to independent media. This is also why it's important to listen to Black leftist commentators. I have several friends that have gone to HBCUs, although I have not. I, like several other friends, went to public schools for undergrad. Those of us who have student loans, we know what it's like. We also know that this economy is not the way that it should be for a lot of people to pay off their student loans and to have a good life. We also know that income has not adjusted for inflation. How could you go against closing the racial wealth gap in this country? This is why it kills me when I hear other people say that they're against reparations for Black people in this country. So you're against reparations, and a lot of people in the Democratic Party are that are in office, but you don't want to help cancel student loan debt either, which would also help fix the racial wealth gap. So basically, you are absolutely fine with Black people in this country not being able to catch up with white people in this country in reference to wealth. Joe Biden's okay with that. The article said he said back in November that it needs to be done immediately, but he's not including it in the White House budget. So what was that all about? This is why I say pay attention to what they say versus what they actually do. If it needed to be done immediately, why isn't he doing it? The same way he can write an executive order for other issues in this country is the same way he could have done an executive order for this. But he's not going to because he doesn't see it as important. And this is what I was trying to tell African Americans who wanted so eagerly to get Biden in. He was not going to do anything to help the African American community. He was not going to do anything to help fix the racial wealth gap in this country. This is why I tell African Americans to hold your vote. People say, well, the other choice was Trump. Hold your vote. If you don't want either one of them, hold your vote. The Democratic Party is going to continue to pander to Black people. They're going to continue to pander to young people. They're going to say they're going to do these things, but they're not doing them. Obama didn't do it. Biden's not doing it. And I got news for you. If Hillary would have won against Trump, she wasn't going to do it either. The only way that they're going to actually listen to us is if we start holding our vote. We have to show the Democratic Party that we don't owe them our vote. And I'm here to tell you that as well. As an African American, you don't owe them your vote. You don't have to give them anything. What have they done to help the African American community in this country? Look around. Is your neighborhood any better? Are the schools any better? Is policing any better? No. Now, I'm not conservative. I don't think Republicans have done anything to help either. I am a leftist. I am not liberal. Liberals are fine with this. They're okay with the status quo. They're happy that we have someone who's a Democrat that's in office. Leftists are not. We're not okay with the status quo. We're not okay with people not having health care in this country. We're not okay with the racial wealth gap. That is the difference. Just because someone is not conservative doesn't mean that they're liberal. And this is why I'm not liberal. Because over the years, we've seen people like Biden, Obama, Bill Clinton pander to the African American community. Bill Clinton goes on Arsenio Hall, plays the saxophone. They say they're going to do all these things for Black people, and then we elect them, they get into office, and they don't do anything. They continue the status quo. I really want people to pay attention to this, because every election, we think the problem is going to be solved by electing someone different. And every time, they continue the status quo. Even though I rag on Biden, it is not the individual that is the problem. It's the two-party system. It's the corruption in DC. It's the way the system works. That is the problem. This is why I encourage more people to run as an independent. This is why I encourage more people to start, if you're going to vote third party. And I strongly encourage African Americans to sincerely sit back and think, what has the Democratic Party actually done for us? And I want to tell you again, we do not owe them our vote. Maybe all of us should get together, start voting third party if we decide to vote. But if you continue to vote for them, if you continue to guarantee your vote for them, then nothing is ever going to change.